Hey guys, what's up? Good afternoon. Brent Abel here, webtennis.com. Another episode of Tennis Mindset Training. Tennis mental toughness. It's all the same thing, right? How do we control our thinking before matches, during matches, after matches, so that we really end up with some clarity in terms of how do we want to start the next point? How do we then, once we get into the point, have some shot choice clarity? And it's It's a skill. It's a trainable skill, not hard. I mean, the mindset skills are not hard. It's the discipline to keep training them on a day in and day out basis that a lot of players just don't think there's enough value to it. And so, for me over the last year and a half, I've come to believe that it's been totally the missing piece for me. And my results really bear that out from what I've been able to do over, my senior career, starting way back in the 35s, 40 years ago, when I got pretty fortunate to win my first national title gold ball in the 35 national hardcore doubles. And, it was a full draw for a full draw of 64 teams. We were unseeded, and we just had one of those weeks where we played as well as we can play, match in and match out. And by the time we got to the finals, we were just brimming with confidence and ended up winning the finals 1 and 2. But I want to fast forward from there. That was 1984 to right around 2008. And I hadn't won another national title since then, since that 84 doubles thing. And so for me, it was working with the great Michael Wayman. I was living in Northern California, the East Bay, Moraga, and Michael was the men's head coach, tennis director over at St. Mary's College in Moraga. And I'd known Michael for a while. He was a great player in the tour. I can't remember his highest ranking, but it was well up there. He was definitely a very tough player. One of those players where you saw him on the draw and you go, "No, man, I'm in for a dogfight if we got to play this guy." He just unbelievably competitive little guy, and yet you couldn't shake him loose. So I got a chance to work with him, and we worked on a few things. I'm going to say 2008 probably had about maybe a dozen 2-hour sessions. And I remember one of the sessions we were working on the slice backhand up the line, where I would get a short ball over my backhand side, and then I'd go ahead and play my slice backhand up the line. And just too often I was missing it. And the one thing he said to me that just made so much sense, he said, right before you make contact is you're living in the future, right? And he said, especially against close matches, guys where it's a close match and, maybe you're, whatever the score is, but you're in for a dogfight. And this guy's good over there. So, you're thinking is, well, I got to make this shot pretty good, or else I'm going to be in trouble. And so he just said, look, you're just living in the future. You're living in the nanosecond future, where just before contact, you're thinking, I better hit this better, or I wonder if he's over there, because I'm not looking over there. I'm looking down at the ball. I'm just wondering about what's about to happen, living in the future. And he's convinced me. He's going, that little second, that nanosecond or two in there where you live out in the future about what if, is the thing that really gets in the way of you being able to execute the shot that you want to execute, high quality, and then be able to move to the next best core position. So he just convinced me. He says, look, you've got the ball. This guy over there cannot do anything when you have the ball. So there's no problem with you taking your time to execute in the present moment, in that little nanosecond thing, without rushing through it, and just execute the shot that you know how to. Take your time, and then just move to cover whatever you think is going to be, a passing shot attempt by your opponent. So it took me a while to kind of, really stop that future thinking. And again, it's just a nanosecond or two. We're about to hit it, and all we're thinking about is what's about to happen. And that just screws you up. At least it screwed me up. So I really worked hard on that. And I think a year later, 2009, I won my first national singles title on the 60 hard courts in 2009. And there's no question that the work that I'd done with Tom Stowe way back in the day, but the work that I'd done with Michael in 2008 really made a huge difference. And so the message I want to convey you today is if you're missing shots, especially in a close match, is that you got to check to make sure that you're not sort of looking forward, even though I know it's just a nanosecond forward. You're taking yourself out of the present. And for me, what it was, the reason I was technically missing the shot too often, or maybe playing under the shot and was just sitting up over there, is literally because I was nanosecond or two thinking ahead, and that would physically change my posture and my swing and all this kind of stuff. So I started doing the opposite. I started exaggerating, not being slower, but just making sure that as I went through the ball on the slice or a different shot, that I made sure that I didn't take myself out of the present by, we see the, I call it the look of Fed. Some, Roger Federer, some players call it the Fed head. But it's that thing where we've seen Roger just add contact. His eyes are still right there at the contact point. The ball's left, the racket's, finishing out there, and he still hasn't looked up to see the result that he's just played with a shot. And so I started exaggerating that on this approach shot, the backhand slice up the line approach shot. And it just made a world of difference. Just made a world of difference. So look, I hope this has been helpful. And again, it's something that you can say, okay, I get it. That makes sense. I'm going to go out there and, flip the light switch and make it work. Nah, it doesn't work that way. You've got to go over there and flip the light switch and say, today, I'm going to work like a dog on this thing over and over and over again. And eventually you got to imprint it into your brain in terms of, for me, it's the look of Fed. Maybe for you, it's something different, but you got to get out of that nanosecond or two future thinking, because it will be disruptive to you executing the shot the way that you want. So hope this has been helpful, guys. Couple of reminders that every day, daily 8 a.m. Pacific, going live, sometimes live. I mean, I should say sometimes it's pre-recorded. What's the right shot? 2 premises about what's the right shot. We look at one point, and I freeze or I pause the camera right before one of the players hits a shot, and I ask the question, what do you think is the right shot? And really the first part of it, it's really 2 parts. The first part is, where do you want the ball to land over there? But the second part, probably even more important, how do you want to enhance the quality of the shot choice, where you want to land over there? How do you enhance the quality by where are you going to move to next on the court? And a lot of time that just means all you're doing is just taking time away in terms of a next best court position, taking time away from your opponent, either to get back in the middle of the court or whatever it is, right? So there's that every morning at 8 o'clock Pacific. And then right here daily, 2:30 Pacific in the afternoons. Again, sometimes recorded. We're doing some tennis mindset training, maybe some tough love, maybe some experiences when I was the poster boy out there, fortunately a while ago, but just being an idiot on the court, just doing some stupid stuff. And fortunately, I got past that, and I want to share my experiences of what that was like for me. Maybe you can relate to 1 or 2 of those, maybe more, and what I've done since. And one of the things that I have done is I have to come up with a between points routine. And it's a step-by-step, 4 parts. It's very specific. And it's exactly what I do in the 80% of the match. 80% of the match where we spend our time between points or in side changes, right? We're not playing points, obviously, most of the time. So only 20% of the time in the match we play in points. And if you manage the 80% of that match really well, you set yourself up to not only have really good clarity about how to start the next point, but that clarity works its way into the point itself in terms of shot choice clarity. Again, like I just said, this is not like a light switch that you flip on whatever you think you need it because it's a close match. No, you got to actually practice this stuff on a regular basis. What I've got for you is a free course. It's a 20-minute course. If you haven't signed up for it, look, I don't know, I highly recommend you do it because it'll make a big difference in your game, and especially as we're talking about today, really of those in those close matches. Just go on over to webtennis.com, drop in a first name and an email address, and you will get immediate access to that private but free course. Guys, any questions about what we talked today, about today, or anything else down below in the comment section? Would love to read it and respond. Or you can, if you want to keep it private, just shoot me an email, brent@webtennis.com, and I promise to get back to you. All right, boys and girls, that's it for me today. We all got to get out there. We got to help someone else have a spectacular day. Guys, see you again next time.